Hey everybody, welcome back to Dacia Builds. My name is Jerome. I've got an episode on my GS450 Mark II, and that is my blue bike. Now, it is right behind me over there under the sheets. You can see I've already done some work on the tank, but it's kind of been sitting here. Now, the last episode I did on this bike is quite a long time ago, and that's the point where I did the NWT install of all the electrics, and I showed you how it basically works. So how you how the buttons function and stuff, and how what it does with lights. So that's where I'm going to pick off this video, and there is plenty of drama in this one. There was an issue with the engine as it was sitting in the frame. As you can see, it's out now. It was a bolt of the exhaust that was actually broken off, and I hadn't seen that. So after I did the NWT install, I decided I have to take that out. I have to take out that thread, otherwise I will never be able to put on the exhaust. So that's where I'm going to start this video off, and I'll take you on a small journey in engines of a GS450, especially the top end, and what can happen to those. For some people it might be heart-wrenching to see this, but hey, it's all in the game. And again, thank you very much for subscribing. I hope you like the content. I'm kind of pushing out more videos, a lot of stuff that's been lying on the shelf. One of those is this bike, because electrically it's completely ready. It just needs an engine. Thank you much for subscribing. Again, I'm closing towards 1,000. You can get your Dutch merch as well. Link is in the description. And yeah, enjoy the video. Cheers. Alright, so this is the problem that I totally missed. There's this bolt over here, which is still stuck in the exhaust part of the engine. I'm gonna have a look inside actually right now. Oh, it's pretty dark. Anyway, I need to get this out. There it is. There's the bolt. So this is the top end of the Suzuki GS450 that I took off with the bolt that's like completely stuck in there. So I used a welder. I used a lot of heat to get this thing freed. It didn't work. So I'm gonna drill this out now, which is gonna be hell. I'm gonna clean off the top end, like completely tear this little piece off, and then start drilling it out. And as soon as it's drilled out, I'm gonna put a helicoil in there, which I've never done before, and try and get a new thread in there, and hopefully that will solve it. Now, as I was working on this thing, the paint job is actually chipping away from all sides and corners. So I'm just gonna take all the valves out, clean up the valves, and redo this entire top end with the valve cover as well, which leaves me with the engine, which is still in the bike. I might get away with it if I get sort of like the same color, which is like a satin black. I think it's not high gloss, so it's like satin or matte black, but as you can see, things are chipping off everywhere. Got my little tray over here again, where I kind of keep everything separated for all the different valves and stuff like that, which is really useful. I just marked it with A, B, and C and color coded it, so that's maybe a good tip if you do this. So when I take out the valves and stuff and the colors, I put them in the same place as the other stuff. Wish me luck, because this could go apeshit really quickly.
Should we tell him, Phil? Mm-hmm.
So what I've done here is use my DIY tool to get that valve out. I've made this from like a piece of round tubing. I welded it to the glue thingy. I don't know how you call this, glue clamp. But as you can see, as I push it down, it keeps the valve in place. but it pushes it upwards, and then the colors, as you can see, they come free. As you can see now, I can just try and show it to you, and I can just take out the colors. That's a color, one of each, and you can take these out. Oh, I could do it with pliers, or I could just hold this thing upside down. And there it is. So these are the colors, as you can see, and they came from valve A. So I'm going to put this in my box. Marked. This red is A. There you go. A. So everything red corresponds with A. So I keep everything close together. And if I undo this thing again, it should come off. There we go. So that's the tool I made. That's the top part, the outer spring, the inner one. There is the valve stem and the valve.
Did you fart?
Excuse me. And the valve. And I should be able to push out the valve on the other side. I can now push it out. There she goes. And there's the valve. And just trying to focus here. As you can see, it's really dirty. It says Suzuki, of course. And this is the exhaust valve. As you can see, it says EX right on top. I'm going to clean this out, take all the carbon deposit from it, and do the same on the cylinder side as well. But as you can see, it's really dirty. So I don't think I'm going to remove the valves. I'm not really sure. It is a perfect opportunity to do that. They are not expensive. Maybe I do that, but I don't know. So I continue working on removing the valves and all the different parts and put them all in my box to keep them organized. And I also had to take off the intake boots at the front of the head. And then I decided to also take off the valve seals. I was trying to remove these caps. Well, actually, these caps. Valve stem caps, they are. One was giving me a hard time, so I tried to tap it open a bit, and then this entire head came off, and that's not supposed to happen.
Oh dear God!
So it actually broke off, which basically means this entire top end is screwed. And the reason I took it off is because there's a bolt in there in the first place. So I'm just going to trash this. This is no good. So at this point I was really bummed out, you can imagine, but I had to crack on. I decided I was going to get a new top end, maybe a second-hand engine, and take the top end from that. Couldn't do that right at that moment, so I decided just to take out the entire engine from the bike, because I was doubtful about the engine that was in the bike at this moment. It's really dirty, a lot of sand inside of it, so time to take it apart. Take off this side cover, and I'm going to use a piece of cardboard and just outline this thing, not precise, but so I will know where every screw will go, same as I did with the other engine. So this is like a basic outline, and then just dot wherever there's a screw, and then you can easily find where they go, because sometimes one is longer or shorter than the other one. So just stick them in here, and when you put it back together, it's easy to find out again. There you go. Everything's back on the board. It should come loose in a few taps. Actually, like pressure points here. You can use the wedge. Something. There it goes. Sorry, loose. So as you can see, that gasket, it's not going to work. There's actually a loose connector in here. Maybe it came from the top, I hope. Loose. Okay, that's weird. Maybe it's in neutral for some reason. It should come off now. There you go. Should be a ring there as well. Yeah, there it is. It's a pretty big washer thingy. That's the entire assembly. There it is. The basket. And now we have got a fuel pump. Oil pump back here. Need to get out the circlip. We can take away this wheel, and then I can remove those bolts, and then we can take it out, and that will see if there's any crap in there. So the oil pump is out, and as you can see, there's like really thick goo. It's also oil, I think, but there's a lot of sand here as well. So I'm glad I'm doing this. I'm not really sure how I'm going to get in there, but at least I can clean this out. And this is the oil pump. So I can clean it out, do the measurements. And this is a really important piece. Something you can get loose quickly. It actually goes over here when you assemble it. You can see that in the back here as well. So I'm going to put everything in the bag, keep it together, and continue working on it. So I got both sides off of the engine, stripped it off as far as I could, makes it more light, of course. So now I'm going to put the motor lift underneath it and then start removing the engine bolts so I can lift it out of the frame and get it out. Before I do that, I'll probably tape off some of the frame so to make sure I won't damage it. But then the engine is out, and then we can really clean it, give a good look at that paint, because it's stripping off while I'm looking at it, black paint. So I think it's a good thing I did this. The same to the top end. This paint is like really crappy. It's just flying off. As you can see, I'm barely touching it. So it needs a complete repaint. Oh, look at that. All sorts of chips in here. Feels like a gasket or something. I think it's a good thing I took it apart. There's all sorts of debris in here. We'll look at this later on. There's a filter in there. Check that. Okay, so the engine is out. It went pretty easy, with half of it removed, of course. I'm glad I did. Where's the pan? Well, there's the muck that was underneath, and it's full of chips and bits and stuff. I don't know. Looks like plastic. I can't really place it. Maybe it's a gasket or something that came loose. But I think it's a good idea that I've taken it apart. I'm just doubtful what I'm going to do next, because if you peep in here, where's my light, especially here in the middle, don't know if I can get that on camera. Well, there you can see there's a lot of sand and stuff. There's a lot of crap in there. Also at the bottom of this cylinder. It's hard to show on camera, but take my word for it. It's mainly sand, I think, because there was a lot of sand on these stems that kind of drop in there. And of course the paint, one of the reasons I took it off, is like really crappy. It comes off, I can just peel it off with my finger basically. So to do a good paint job, I may have to separate the two halves, and then I can clean it, but that's obviously a lot more work. And I have to do a seal again on the middle. So I'm kind of thinking about what I'm going to do. Am I going to take it apart completely, or leave it like this and go from there? But this side's a bit, yeah, it's just like oxidized, so you can rub it off real easy. So yeah, choices, eh? I'm leaning towards taking it apart completely, because I was able to take it apart quite easily actually. So I can give it a proper clean. Maybe do some seals like this one over here again. Refit those. Yeah. As you can see, the paint came out really easy. So I'm glad I did this. Other than that, everything looks okay. There's no chips or anything, and pistons look dirty, but I think they're okay. I'll have to do some measurements, of course, but yeah, but this is the main thing why I took it apart, and I'm glad I did, because that is really grimy. Here are all the parts I took from it with the little cartons so I can remember where all the screws go. Yeah, went pretty good actually. And now we're gonna crack on and take this thing apart. So this is a second engine that I got. This is an engine I bought that would replace the top end of the engine that came from the bike. Now this is a lesson learned, I guess. The guy I bought it from, he said, the engine is, well, it's a bit rough, but it's free, it turns around still, and for the top end it should be fine. So on that I went to him. It was about 45 minutes drive, and I paid 125 euros for it. But as soon as I drove up to that place, I thought, it was a business, I thought this is a really shabby place. So I should have kind of followed my gut feeling there, but I didn't. Then I saw the engine. I was really happy to see a top end because they were really hard to find, harder than I thought actually, at least for a reasonable price. But I was over eager, I guess. So I bought the engine. I already knew it was a mistake, I think, somewhere in the back of my mind, until I got it into the shed. I tried to remove the top end. It was absolutely so stuck, you would not believe it. And I could not move the cylinders also. And taking that top end off was just, it's just not doable. I had to use a crowbar. I had it hanging on the ceiling on its own weight. It would not move. So I had to use a lot of force to get it off in the first place. And with that, I damaged the top end, making it basically useless, making the entire engine useless. So a lesson learned, I guess. Always when you buy something, you have doubts, don't do it. It's going to be a boat anchor like this. But I did decide to take off as many parts as I could, trying to salvage stuff. There's a lot of stuff in there which is valuable in the end. So I started stripping it. And I had to find a third top end to put on this bike. But for now, just have a look and see what I salvaged from this engine. And you can also see why it was stuck. So I've been tearing into this terrible engine that the previous owner said should be okay. I don't think it would have, as you can see. So this is absolute boat anchor. I think I'm gonna keep these pistons, maybe make something cool out of it to put my helmets on. And I'm trying to strip as many parts off it as I can, because otherwise it's just useless. I think the crankcase itself is actually not too bad, but it's a good thing it came apart, because this is what I found inside the engine. Now there's no way I could have put rags in there while I was tearing it apart. So, but this side cover is still okay. These are the springs for the clutch. Now the clutch is the main thing I want to get out of it. It seems these screws, they're actually pretty good, pretty expensive if you want to buy new ones. I've got the niter unit here, which is still good. I still have the internal bolts, which are pretty expensive if you have to buy new ones. So I kept those, you never know. Starter motor is still good. And I kept all the bolts on the side cover. I kind of did it like that, so I know exactly where each bolt goes. So it actually is with that one over there. Got this cover, which is still good. Got the stator and the stator cover, and the stator looks pretty good, but I haven't tested it yet. But that might still be good. The cover itself is okay. And I'm just gonna show you now. This was, I think, a cup worth of oil came out of it, so it was like maybe it's this small layer, but there's a lot of crap, as you can see, inside that engine. This is actually the strainer. Yeah, it's a good thing it came out. And here's the actual clutch plates and the basket that came out. Pretty good actually. I have to clean this, all these parts. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that as far as I can go. The top ends both have to go. This is the one that came off this bike. As you can see, it's still stuck. This thing, I even had to remove those bolts that are usually over there, and it's still stuck. I still can't get it off. It's unbelievable. I don't know why. Should slide off normally, but I had to. It took me an hour to get it from there to there. And same with the top end, was even worse. So that's why it got damaged, as you can see. And I tried to clean off the top, but there's too much damage over here. The valve covers, and these bolts are still in here, which I think I could use, but I don't trust this thing, so I'm not going to use this one. Now these are all the springs and valves that came off it, and the valve cups, the shims, the holders, the screws. I'm gonna keep that, and the top as well. All this side cover thing, that's useless, we can throw that away. All the gaskets are screwed. Side cover, which for some reason has a hole in it. Don't know why. Yeah, we're gonna get rid of this as well. This is useless. Suzuki emblem. They'll keep that for fun, I guess. Oh, shit. And this is the chain tensioner thingy. Both engines. And this is the cover, which is actually a pretty good neck actually. And the cam shafts, and they are okay as well. I haven't measured them, but they look okay. So yeah, that's my salvage. So I'm just going to get rid of this stuff. I'm going to store it, and I think I'm going to use that again. And I'm going to put this aside, and every now and again just take some stuff off. But most of it can go away. I do like the crankcase. I may use that if I can get it apart. Okay, so we got the boat anchor completely separated. Went pretty easy actually. So I put most of the parts in here, all the gears and stuff. All I need to do is remove the oil pump over here, and the gear drum, which is over here with the selectors. Take that out, and then everything is out, including the crankshaft. And of course it was the rod that I saw on Instagram, showed on Instagram, that was actually shot like this bushing. You can see the edge, the groove that shouldn't be there. It's like completely worn in. The crankshaft itself looks okay, but have a look at that later. I'm not going to use these piston heads because the top end of course is already gone. So I'm going to use these piston heads with the top end, which is over there. I still need to remove those bolts. That's really important to get done, because this is the original engine that came with that bike, and I'm having trouble separating the top from the bottom. I don't know why. It's starting to crack a bit, but it's just not breaking on this side, and I've actually already damaged the engine a bit, so I'm trying to be as careful as again, but I will clean this. I think I'll try to remove these first, because if I can't do that, then this is useless. The reason I did it is because I thought the engine would be really dirty, and it is. It is full of crap. So I'm glad I did this, even though it's a lot of work. Now we can really paint this properly. But yeah, so first I'm going to try and get these bolts out. Alright, so that works. Got these 4 out. Used my welder to get a lot of heat in those things. Welded nuts on top of these, and then use like a lever to like lever it out, and that works. So now this is actually a perfectly good top. Just needs a bit of cleaning. So I'm going to leave you with that on the video. The engine is out, as you can see. Got it apart, well, I think halfway, well over halfway. Just going to think about what I'm going to do, but for now, that's this video. If you like what you see, please subscribe. Leave a comment below if you want to. If you have any questions, reach out. You can also find me on Instagram.shedbuilds. And yeah, see you on the next one. Bye bye.